scoring, which are algorithms that are used to look at identifying attributes such as name, such as engineering characteristics for parts or for components, or looking at product locate, the source of where the item comes from, or eye color and birth date for individuals, or contract identifier, or contract terms. These different bits and pieces of identifying information are used to compare different representations to determine whether our items are similar, and whether that degree of similarity is close enough to be able to say, yes, that's definitely a match, or no, that's definitely not a match, or somewhere in between, and so I need to hand that off to somebody to manually review to determine whether I can assert that those two representations are the same or not. So I'm going to hand it back to Arpan for a second. We have another poll question coming up. Okay, which of the following data domains poses the greatest problems if you have poor data quality? Is it customer data? Is it product or material data? The chart of accounts? Is it supplier? Here's where we're going to move from there, is that what we really want to do is create a master data environment where we can share those master data domains that we can get better quality from, that will help in our operational activities. So here we've got the same set of functions, but we're going to set up an environment where, and there are many different ways of doing this, and if you're interested, you can take a look at the book or go to the websites that we run that have more information about data quality and master data management. There's all sorts of different ways of doing this, but the idea here, the different organizations will share their data into a master data repository, but that's not the end of the story. It really means that we've got to be able to get the data out of that master data repository, and that's where a lot of the failures in thought occurs, that they don't think about the fact that the idea here is for publication of shared data, but rather just a consolidation. So I'm going to do this a little bit so you can see that the data's got to go into the master data repository and be able to come out in a way that's consistent and coherent across all the consumers of that data. So here's some considerations. Data sharing implies a greater need for consistency and coherence. When we've got errors that exist across different talk to each other, it's not really a problem. But once we start seeing the need for repurposing, those little small errors become magnified. Data quality is got to be defined through the solicitation and synthesis of business expectations from the people who are getting the data, not by the people who are providing the data. It's the consumers of the data who need to assert what their expectations are. So we need to engage all the process owners to share their concerns about the quality of data. Master data management is a process that facilitates improved data quality, but also relies on improved data quality in order to give a consistent view. So here's some ideas. When you're looking at solution alternatives, make sure you've got some expertise in the ability to build your business case. You have to look at how data failures and data duplication contribute to negative business impacts, and look for the best opportunities for increasing the value through repurposing and data sharing through master data management. Work with your vendors with subject expertise and process expertise, and scope the project to meet specific cross-functional objectives. So if you're looking to improve reduce the days outstanding on your invoices, use that as a motivating factor to look at the specific cross-functional processes and dependencies on data, and then look for the solutions that leverage the best practices in data quality to provide a unified view of master data. And I'm going to provide a little bit of additional contact information if you want to look at some of the other things that we've talked about. Check out our books, or you can contact me directly. And otherwise, I'm going to thank the folks at Zynapse and hand it off to Arpan to give Arthur the floor.
Well, David, thank you very, very much. It's always a pleasure to hear you and to learn from you. I hope everyone can now see my screen. We've got about 15 minutes or so left, so I'll try to make this part fairly brief. And what I wanted to cover a little bit this afternoon is how improving master data quality can really better empower organizations, and use some sort of real-world scenarios that we've run across. Just a reminder to everyone, I saw some good questions come in during David's presentation, so please keep those questions coming. If we don't get to them today, we will certainly answer them in turn directly from either David or myself. Sometimes people think of master data quality as a bit of a nuisance. It's something that we sort of strive for, but we're oftentimes hounded by seemingly small errors. When people run reporting from different source environments, they tend to get different results, none of which seem to be particularly accurate. Our business stakeholders can't solve data quality problems without help from the IT team. Likewise, the IT team doesn't really understand the true problem and needs to work with the business users. Not a lot of people taking leadership in that particular solution state. The ability to make effective decisions for a company is based on hard, reliable, accurate data. I can't do much when I can't get good quality information. And I like the last one, just sort of a vocabulary challenge. I call them products, other plants call them parts. Some people say they're items. The system talks in SKUs. It's not easy to get the right answer when everyone speaks a different language, in this case the customer speaking the catalog language. A lot of this is due to the sort of old IT adage of garbage in, garbage out, GIGO. The reason for this sort of chaos or havoc is that historically organizations had cross-functional teams that were contributing to a centralized environment from multiple decentralized systems. One of the nightmares that this brings is that business stakeholder satisfaction and their team productivity is undermined because of the lack of quality, actionable information. We've seen firsthand organizations that might have gone through M&A activities who expected synergies, whether from their supply chain or from cross-selling across their customer base, fail to find those value-add solutions because of the inability to work with their own internal information asset, their master data. I mean, the need for master data is quite straightforward. It's something that I think everyone on this call should certainly understand. And the business users out there have increasingly high expectations. We know that their business models are changing. They're facing increased government regulation. They're trading partners. They're no longer customers. They're no longer suppliers. As David said, they're sort of this new entity of a preferred or a business partner kind of entity. And on a global basis, supply chain and the value chain, specifically the value delivery chain, is increasingly distributed across multiple organizations. The ability to share data, not just master data, but the metadata around it, is becoming critical to work in today's global, complex, multi-entity or multi-enterprise world. One of the other sort of draws from globalization, there's certainly benefits, right? Common suppliers, common customers. But it creates some challenges that surround ERP consolidations. And in order to overcome some of these challenges, sorry for the PowerPoint, we find that organizations that perform well are those that have combined technology and best practices, both internal and external to an ERP or MRP deployment, with business process improvements And we see that organizations that are fitting into the high percentile, right, management practice greater than 75th percentile, the top quarter, are also those organizations that have had intense or significant IT deployments to support the business process improvement. There are still hurdles to overcome in realizing the ERP value. There's a constant balance of capability of the platform and the challenges of implementation. And oftentimes, it's the strength of the master data itself that maintains that return on investment. We find significant improvement in operational efficiencies, accuracy in reporting, and the ability to make better fact-based decisions based on the quality of the master data, regardless of the domain. Right? Chart of account, customer, supplier, material, product. It's the handling of these key masters, these key domain areas, during an ERP consolidation or migration, during a merger or acquisition, or during a large business process reengineering exercise that ultimately unlocks that investment and empowers the organization. So before, the traditional interaction cycle for master data was that each sort of individual line of business, each functional area within the organization acted autonomously, drawing upon, occasionally, a common data repository. But now we find that these business units become more cross-functional. They're more interlocked or interlaced. We're seeing multiple products being run through the same plants to achieve manufacturing synergy. We're seeing an extended and somewhat matrix sales and service organization taking position in a global marketplace. And what this requires is a more consistent view of the truth, and a view of the truth that spans across individual business groups or business units and runs into the organizational functionality around taking care of your customers, managing your suppliers, managing your financial risk. So to have good quality, high standing, high reuse master data, your master data sort of has to have some soft words associated with it. Right, we think about data classification, as David mentioned, and data cleansing and data enrichment, then providing traceability. Where did the data come from, who provided it, who changed it. That's a little bit about the data control, data stewardship, maybe even aspects of the data governance process. But ideally, we want to all refer to our master data as unambiguous. Right? It's clear, it's concise, it's been enriched, it's consistent across an organization. It's been validated, it's up to date. The data hasn't aged, the data itself is not obsolete. So in many ways, the truest sense of the word, right, it should be high quality master data.